Every day after the age of 50, tiny clusters of abnormal cells can begin forming inside the body. And most people never feel a thing. They don't cause pain. They don't show symptoms. But whether those cells stay harmless or grow into something dangerous depends largely on one question. Is your body strong enough to control them? As we age, our immune defenses slow down, inflammation quietly rises, and the body's ability to repair damaged tissue becomes less efficient. This doesn't mean disease is inevitable. It means support becomes essential. I'm Dr. Nelson, and for over 3 decades, I've worked with older adults navigating the complex changes that come with aging. One of the most powerful tools we have isn't found in a prescription bottle. It's found in the foods we choose every day. Certain foods have been shown to help the body reduce inflammation, strengthen immune surveillance, and even limit the blood supply that abnormal cells need to grow. Today, I'll walk you through 7 specific foods that can help fight against cancer and support your body's natural repair systems, starting with the first and most underestimated one. Stay with me, because the first food may surprise you. 1. Green tea, strengthening immune defense and limiting tumor growth. If you're in your 60s or 70s, you've probably noticed that your body doesn't bounce back the way it used to. Cuts heal slower. Infections linger longer. Routine lab results sometimes raise quiet concerns. One of the fears many older adults carry, often without saying it out loud, is this: is my immune system still strong enough to protect me? That concern is valid. After 60, immune surveillance naturally declines, and low-grade inflammation becomes more common. This combination creates an environment where abnormal cells have a better chance of surviving. This is where green tea becomes more than just a warm beverage. Green tea contains a compound called EGCG, which has been studied for its ability to reduce inflammatory markers and support natural killer cell activity, the very immune cells responsible for identifying and destroying abnormal growth before it becomes dangerous. For older adults, especially those managing chronic conditions like diabetes, heart disease, or a history of smoking, reducing chronic inflammation is not cosmetic, it is protective. However, this isn't about drinking 1 cup and expecting a miracle. The benefit comes from consistency. 2 to 3 cups daily, brewed properly with hot, not boiling, water, can support immune balance over time. If misunderstood, some people may replace medical treatment with natural approaches alone, which is not safe. Green tea is supportive, not a substitute for your doctor's care. If you're wondering what you can do today to feel less powerless about your health, starting your morning with green tea is a simple, practical step. And as we move forward, the next food builds even further on this foundation of immune protection and cellular repair. 2. Broccoli and cruciferous vegetables, activating your body's internal defense genes. Building on the immune support we discussed with green tea, the next layer of protection involves something even deeper: your genetic defense system. After the age of 60, many people begin to worry not just about getting sick, but about what may already be developing silently. You go in for routine screenings, wait for biopsy results, or hear friends talk about unexpected diagnoses. One quiet fear often lingers in the background. What if something is growing inside me and I don't know it yet? Cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, kale, and cabbage contain a natural compound called sulforaphane. What makes sulforaphane remarkable is that it activates a pathway known as NRF2, essentially turning on your body's own detoxification and antioxidant genes. As we age, those protective systems become less responsive. Cells accumulate oxidative damage, and low-grade inflammation becomes more persistent. Sulforaphane helps reawaken those internal repair mechanisms, supporting the body's ability to neutralize harmful compounds before they damage DNA. This becomes especially important for older adults managing chronic inflammation, metabolic syndrome, or a history of exposure to tobacco smoke or environmental toxins. However, preparation matters. Overcooking broccoli can significantly reduce its active compounds. Light steaming for a few minutes preserves much of its benefit. And while supplements are widely marketed in the United States, Whole vegetables provide a broader spectrum of protective nutrients that isolated pills often lack. A practical step is simple. Aim for at least 1 cup of lightly cooked broccoli or other cruciferous vegetables most days of the week, including the stalk, which contains high concentrations of beneficial compounds. It's not dramatic, but it is steady protection. And if you're ready to take this protection even further, the next food we'll discuss concentrates these compounds at levels that may surprise you. 3. Broccoli sprouts. Concentrated cellular protection when you need it most. If adding broccoli to your plate is a strong step, broccoli sprouts take that protection to another level. For many adults over 60, there's a quiet urgency that develops after a health scare. A suspicious scan, a rising lab number, or a close friend's diagnosis. You may find yourself wondering whether you've done enough, or whether it's too late to make meaningful changes. That feeling of wishing you had started earlier can be heavy. The good news is that the body still responds, even later in life. Broccoli sprouts are simply 3 to 4 day old broccoli plants, but at this early stage, they contain dramatically higher concentrations of sulforaphane compared to mature broccoli. This matters because sulforaphane doesn't just reduce inflammation, it influences gene expression tied to detoxification, cellular repair, and abnormal cell suppression. In older adults, where accumulated cellular stress is greater, this concentrated support may be especially valuable. This is particularly relevant for those with a history of smoking, environmental exposure, or previous cancer treatment. However, it's important to approach this realistically. Sprouts are a supportive strategy, not a cure, and they should complement, never replace, medical follow-up or recommended therapies. Also, individuals with compromised immune systems should ensure sprouts are sourced safely or lightly cooked to reduce bacterial risk. A practical action step is simple and affordable. Add about half a cup of fresh broccoli sprouts to a salad, sandwich, bati, or omelet several times a week. They're widely available in most U.S. grocery stores, and many people even grow them at home. Small, consistent habits matter. And as we continue, the next food shifts our focus from cellular detox to protecting specific organs that often worry older adults the most. 4. Papaya. Targeted support for lung tissue and hidden inflammation. As we move from cellular detox and gene activation, we now turn to something many older adults quietly worry about but rarely discuss openly: lung health. If you're over 60, there's a good chance you grew up in a time when smoking was common, air quality regulations were looser, and occupational exposures were not well understood. Even if you quit decades ago, you may still wonder whether damage was left behind. That lingering thought, "Did I do something years ago that will catch up with me now?" can sit quietly in the background. Papaya may seem like a simple tropical fruit, but it contains a carotenoid called beta-cryptoxanthin, which has been associated with lower rates of lung-related cancers in long-term population studies. What makes this compound unique is its tendency to accumulate in lung tissue, where it appears to help reduce inflammation and oxidative stress. For older adults, especially those with a past smoking history or chronic respiratory irritation, reducing low-grade inflammation in lung tissue becomes particularly important. This is not about reversing decades of exposure overnight, and it's not a substitute for screening, such as low-dose CT scans when recommended by your physician. Ignoring medical guidelines while relying only on diet would be a mistake. However, adding 1 cup of fresh papaya several times a week is a gentle, subtle, supportive step that aligns with overall anti-inflammatory nutrition. If blood sugar is a concern, pairing papaya with a handful of nuts or eating it earlier in the day can help moderate glucose response. Small, thoughtful adjustments matter. As we continue, the next food shifts our attention from the lungs to something even more foundational: the cells that allow tumors to regrow and return. 5. Purple potatoes. Targeting the cells that allow cancer to return. After discussing lung protection, we need to address a fear that many adults over 60 carry quietly, especially those who have already faced a diagnosis: the fear of recurrence. You go through surgery, radiation, or chemotherapy. The scans come back clear. Friends celebrate. But in the stillness of the night, a thought lingers. What if it comes back? That fear is deeply human, and it's rooted in something real. Certain cells, often referred to as cancer stem cells, can survive treatment and later regenerate new tumor growth. Purple potatoes contain anthocyanins, powerful plant compounds responsible for their deep violet color. Laboratory studies suggest these compounds may influence cancer stem cells, helping limit their ability to multiply while leaving healthy cells unharmed. For older adults, this is meaningful because aging tissues are more vulnerable to oxidative stress, and cellular repair systems are not as efficient as they once were. Supporting the body's internal environment becomes essential, not optional. There is also a practical metabolic benefit. When purple potatoes are cooked and then cooled, they form resistant starch, which feeds beneficial gut bacteria and reduces inflammatory signaling throughout the body. Chronic inflammation is one of the drivers behind cellular damage and abnormal growth, particularly in aging adults with metabolic conditions. This doesn't mean replacing medical follow-up with diet alone. Skipping screenings or ignoring rising lab values would be a serious mistake. But incorporating one medium purple potato a few times per week, baked, lightly roasted, or added to soup, is a realistic, affordable step for most American households. As we continue, we'll shift from targeting recurrence to strengthening something even more foundational: the gut bacteria that communicate directly with your immune system. 6. Pomegranate. Strengthening the gut-immune connection. After talking about recurrence and cellular resilience, we now come to something many people over 60 rarely consider: the health of the gut. As we age, digestion changes. The diversity of beneficial bacteria declines. Antibiotics, medications, stress, and years of dietary habits all shape the microbiome. What most older adults don't realize is that this quiet ecosystem in the intestines directly communicates with the immune system. When that communication weakens, immune surveillance weakens too. Pomegranate contains compounds called L-glutanins, which are transformed by gut bacteria into active metabolites that support anti-inflammatory signaling and immune regulation. For older adults, especially those who have undergone cancer treatment or who live with chronic inflammation, nurturing the right gut bacteria becomes an important piece of long-term protection. Some research even shows that individuals who respond better to certain cancer therapies tend to have higher levels of specific beneficial bacteria influenced by these compounds. There is also an emotional layer here. Many seniors describe feeling that their body has become unpredictable. Digestion is irregular, energy fluctuates, lab numbers shift. That loss of internal stability can feel unsettling. Supporting the gut microbiome with foods like pomegranate is not dramatic, but it is steady. However, it's important to choose 100% pure pomegranate juice without added sugars. Sweetened blends can spike blood sugar and counteract metabolic stability, especially for those managing diabetes. A practical step is simple: about 8 ounces of pure pomegranate juice daily, or the fresh seeds added to yogurt or salads several times a week. This small habit helps rebuild internal balance over time. And as we move forward, the final food will bring everything together by supporting overall cellular repair and vascular health in the aging body. 7. Dark berries. Protecting blood vessels and supporting cellular repair. As we bring all of these strategies together, we can't ignore one final piece of the puzzle: circulation and cellular repair. After 60, blood vessels gradually lose flexibility, and microcirculation, the tiny vessels that deliver oxygen and nutrients to tissues, becomes less efficient. Many older adults describe feeling colder, healing slower, or noticing that bruises take longer to fade. Beneath those small changes is a larger concern: is my body still able to repair itself the way it used to? Dark berries such as blueberries, blackberries, and raspberries are rich in anthocyanins and polyphenols that help protect the lining of blood vessels and reduce oxidative stress. For seniors managing high blood pressure, elevated cholesterol, or early vascular changes, supporting endothelial health is not just about heart disease. It's about ensuring every organ receives adequate nourishment. Healthy circulation also plays a role in limiting the inflammatory environment that allows abnormal cells to thrive. There is also a psychological comfort in knowing that something as simple as a cup of berries can quietly support the body's repair systems. However, portion awareness still matters. While whole berries are beneficial, sweetened berry juices or syrups can undermine metabolic stability, particularly in those with insulin resistance. Choosing fresh or frozen unsweetened berries is key. A practical step is to add 1 cup of dark berries daily, stirred into oatmeal, blended into a smoothie, or eaten alongside Greek yogurt. Small, consistent nourishment supports resilience over time. And as we move into our conclusion, let's step back and look at how these 7 foods work together to strengthen the aging body as a whole. 8. Final thoughts. Protecting the aging body with steady, daily choices. As we step back and look at everything we've discussed, one truth becomes clear. Aging is not a sudden event. It is a gradual shift. After 60, the body becomes more delicate, not fragile in a helpless way, but sensitive to small imbalances. Immune response slows. Inflammation lingers longer. Repair mechanisms that once worked effortlessly now require support. And many of the most serious health events do not begin with pain. They begin quietly, often during the night, when the body is meant to be restoring itself. For older adults, nighttime is when inflammation can rise, blood sugar can fluctuate, and abnormal cells can either be contained or allowed to progress. That reality can feel unsettling. It reminds us that the body does not pause its internal battles simply because we are asleep. But it also highlights something empowering. What you consistently put into your body during the day influences what happens inside you at night. The 7 foods we discussed are not miracle cures. They are not replacements for screenings, medications, or medical guidance. Instead, they represent something more sustainable: daily reinforcement of the body's own protective systems. They help calm inflammation, support immune surveillance, protect blood vessels, and nurture the gut bacteria that communicate directly with your immune cells. These small actions compound over time. If you begin incorporating these habits now, what might your health look like 1 year from today? Perhaps fewer inflammatory flare-ups, more stable lab markers, greater energy and resilience. Over 3 to 5 years, the impact becomes even more meaningful. Lower cumulative inflammation, stronger vascular function, a body better equipped to manage cellular stress before it turns into something more serious. The goal is not perfection. The goal is momentum in the right direction. Aging will always bring change, but decline is not inevitable at the pace many people assume. Understanding how your body works, and adjusting your daily choices accordingly is one of the most powerful forms of self-respect in later life. You may not control every outcome, but you can influence the environment inside your body starting today. And sometimes, that steady, informed protection is what quietly shapes a healthier future. If this video gave you clarity, reassurance, or practical steps you can start using today, I encourage you to support the channel. Click the like button so more seniors can find this information. Share this video with a spouse, parent, or friend who may quietly be worrying about their health. And leave a comment below. I truly value hearing your experiences and questions. Finally, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss future guidance designed specifically to help adults over 50 protect their health, stay informed, and feel more confident about the years ahead.